Okay, this is our 18th cut on the throttle body injection Mission Impossible 9-second project. And it seems to be more and more of a Mission Impossible to me. But this is a cut a lot of guys have been waiting for. This is our 208 cut on a 50. And I'll save you the drama. It does beat the 45, and I figured it would with that real deep bowl. Now, it's not an apples to apples comparison because I was able to straighten out our bore adapter. See how our liquid goes right to that edge and it's perfect? It wasn't like that on the last one. It was off a little bit. So that could have been a few CFM, no doubt. I did clean up the chamber a little bit. You can just see a slight line there from the stone. I cleaned up this part of the chamber, and I cleaned up that sharp ridge. All of which should have added up to a few extra CFM. I did forget to clean this part of the chamber, so don't worry about it. Doesn't look like we got much blue on it anyhow. I forgot to clean that. Let's take a look at the bore before I forget. Okay, notice how far over that goes. I think that's pretty darn good. I actually like it better than the 45. Go back in the last video and take a look at it. I think that looks better. Okay. This is cut on a 50. You can see it was barely lapped one other time before. It's right on the edge for that whatever seat it was on last time. I did not lap it onto this seat to see where it is, but it should be pretty good. And we've got blue. You got a good amount of that valve covered with blue. Okay, and it does have a deeper back cut than the 45 had. Notice how thin that 50-degree seat is. If we can focus, my goodness. Okay, that's a very thin seat on that valve. Let's see if we can get some better light on this. Okay, it looks like our bare spot has moved from the far right of the roof over to the left a little bit. And it comes up relatively straight. Comes up relatively straight into the chamber there. Straighter than it was, I think. Okay, it doesn't have that bare spot on the bottom right corner that we had last time. And as far as I'm concerned, that looks pretty damn good. You guys let me know if I'm wrong with that. The rest of that port looks pretty clean. I actually did float with the bolt in, which is always a good thing. Okay, a little bit different view of this. That is really going quite straight at that point. Give me your input on what you think this is going on there, guys. It's a little dark, it's hard to see. Okay. All right, I think we can see that a little better now. All right, let's take a look at our numbers and see what we got. Okay, these should be easy to compare because it's all on one sheet. This was our 17th cut, which was the 208 with a back cut on a 45. This is our 18th cut, 208 back cut 50 degree. These pluses and minuses are in reference to these. How'd we do? Well, the 50 degree is supposed to knock down your low lift flow, and that is exactly what we got this time. And to be honest, if I lose some flow up to 150 thousandths, it's not really going to bother me. That's going to, if we think about, if we had these two heads on the same short block with the same cam, which one would idle better? Well, this has lower low lift flows, so it's going to back up into the intake manifold less, right? It's going to have less reversion, most likely. There's no definites, but that's kind of the idea, okay? And after that, we're pluses all the way until we get to 900. It's down a tenth. Okay, we max out at an inch at 296.2, which is 30 plus CFM more than I figured we could get these things to. Okay, at 300, we're up 203 and change, not bad. Okay, at 500, 268, we've done that before, but it's a little bit fatter right here. Now, somebody suggested 208 on a 55. We could. I mean, I haven't poked a hole through the casting yet. I could do some sonicking on it and see what we got, but I don't know if I want to do that. Stevie actually talked me into looking for a 2.1 inch valve and give up on the 1.6, maybe put a 1.55 exhaust valve and a 2.1. It's an interesting idea. What we're going to do next, I don't know. I'll worry about freaking Stevie bugging me and figuring out what we're going to do next. Take a look at our swirls. This is actually really interesting if we look at our swirls, right? Plus, minus, minus, plus, 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 plus. Literally, almost every increase in flow was an increase in our swirl. Somebody mentioned that a long time ago in the comments. You know what that makes me want to do? It makes me want to change our swirl ramp a little more. Now, I don't know if I can because I haven't sonicked it in a while, but I might be able to move that over just a touch. You know what would dictate that? Our airspeeds. Let's take a look at our airspeeds. Let me put some pluses and minuses in for you. Okay, so we've got our airspeeds up here. Hard to read. 260, 260, 260, 213, 130, 327, 347, 301. Versus our airspeeds here. Our pinch went up. Why? Because at 600, we're moving more air. We went from 278 to 284. It should increase speed. It only increased a little bit. It's nice and even. We're good. As far as our roof actually lost a little bit of speed, but it was really high here. Look at this differential here. We got 73 CFM feet per second difference. This is more even. That's a win. Take a look at our short side. We did get a gain on our center of cylinder short side. Now, center of cylinder's short side is where we cut that ramp out. Think about that. That might be worth changing a little bit, okay? The center of our short side went down a little bit, and the cylinder wall went up a little bit. I think I'm going to work on this right here. It's not going to be a big change, but if we can get 4 or 5 extra CFM, we'll be right around 290 at 600. That's not bad. We'll be able to make some power with 290. What else we got to talk about? I will get back on the 194 port. I just want to goof around with this a little bit more. I'm glad you guys are hanging with me and going over this. Brain fog. You know what we need to do? We need to take a quick look at that bowl ratio. Let's just take a few minutes and figure that out. I think you might be surprised as tight as it is. Okay, that's our bowl ratio. Now my bowl is offset, so it's a different measurement in one way than the other. So I take 2 measurements, I average them, then you divide it by the 208. We're at 88.7%, which is pretty close to my 88 go-to. Does that mean we could open it up and get more flow? It's kind of a high RPM setup. We probably could if we have the metal. Oh, that's one thing I got to tell you guys about. Okay, I remember back in 88 when I first started on these, I swore that the casting number was 081. And it had the larger stems on the exhaust that are sodium filled, 3/8, and it had inserts on the exhausts. Well, I did some research on it, and it turns out it was a different head. It's an 810 swirl head. It was still a 194 1.5, but it had a different exhaust port with a lot more water around it for heavy duty applications where it's going to get really hot. It was also a heavier casting, supposedly. That might be the ticket for this project right here, and I could open that bowl up a little more. So take a look through your junk pile. See if you got a set of 810s for me. That would be really cool. Then that would really be the copy of my original swirl ports, and then some modern experimentation done to it. All right, guys. I'm still having fun with this, but dinner's waiting. Thanks for hanging out. Have a good night.